What's up? What's up? How y'all doing out there? It's the Burgundy Breakdown, and tonight we're kicking it off with myself, Z of Reedie and Zee, and my guy Juan Gotti. Juan Gotti talking sports. It's been a busy day today on a Monday, a off day, but busy. Two signings, a release, and we still talking about what's going on as far as injury news and also the preseason game. Slight recap. Stay tuned. The Burgundy Breakdown coming to you right now. Busy Monday on this August. What's today? August 17th. Off day for the team. You know what I mean? But we popped up in the news today with signings, a release, a competition that might be over, or is it? You know what I mean? We got a lot to talk about tonight, but first off, my guy, Juan Gotti. How you feeling today, brother?
I'm all right, man. We're here another day. And as you mentioned, it was a busy day, a very busy day, as you would have assumed. The team, with training camp resuming tomorrow, would have just had a nice little, relaxing day. But the team was very busy with releasing a player and signing a player, and a lot to talk about, injury updates and things of that nature. So I guess we aren't wasting more time, and I guess we can get right into the major news of today. And that was, I guess, the Washington Commanders made it clear who they are rolling with for the future at the kicker position, and that is none other than Drew Stevens, because Jake Moody is no longer with the Washington Commanders. Very excited
Yeah.
about that, Hansi.
Yeah, I'm excited about it, man. We finally got a young guy to, just try out, and hopefully it's his kicking job for years to come. You know what I mean? Early on during the draft, we kept talking about how we wanted a kicker and we needed to have a real competition. Especially after we saw them bring Moody back and pass on some of the other available free agents. So right after that we signed Drew Stevens, what I mean, to an undrafted UDFA contract. And we've been talking about it all summer. Like, we finally got a competition. The excitement around Drew Stevens' leg, and just, again, the youth. And what I mean, we've been monitoring. It's been one of them big stories over the summer. We've been monitoring it close to the point where we arguing. Wow, Drew Stevens keeping up with Moody in practice. They're going 6 for 6. They went 7 to 7 today, and pretty much like the competition was going good until it wasn't. There was the point where Moody started to get shaky, and then Drew Stevens had some trials as well, but then continuing practice after that, they kind of Drew Stevens kind of took off, and then as we seen during the first preseason game, I think it might have been the doink from 29 yards that kind of sealed the deal.
Yeah, I mean, I'm right there with you. I remember a few weeks ago when training camp first started, I said I would hate to be Lurie Izzo. I would hate to be Dan Quinn, the person that has to make this final kicking decision, because to me, I thought it was neck and neck, or it was a close call of a kicking battle. But I mean, I think that one day where they both struggled, but they said Jake Moody missed like 11 field goals so far in camp, and I think I'm right there with you too, because I don't think it was the misses in camp that solidified his exit. I think it was the doink in the preseason that made him realize, okay, the clear answer is Drew Stevens. I think they could stomach missing kicks in camp, or maybe they can't. But to me, I think the clear answer was Drew Stevens for a multitude of reasons. I first love this move because it goes on theme and on par with Dan Quinn's whole entire philosophy this offseason, and that's been rolling the dice, being aggressive, taking chances. You look at it, how he's approached this whole entire offseason with the two new coordinators that we have. Never in their life has called plays on a professional level. He's rolling the dice with those guys. And a slew of other moves. Then you look at the kicking position. He could have easily went with Jake Moody, a veteran, a guy that's been here, been around the block a few times. But he said, you know what? I'm going to take a chance on this young fella, Drew Stevens. See what he has. Again, he's coaching like his job is on the line. All these moves that he's made this offseason has been approached as if his job is on the line. So I say that to say it makes sense. He like if I'm gonna go down swinging, I'm gonna go down with taking a chance on a guy that could potentially be a, dare I say, generational ass kicker. Because as we already talked about, it's his leg strength and his accuracy, things like that. I'm just excited to take a chance on a young guy that potentially could be our. I'm not saying he's the next Brandon Aubrey, but he could be our Brandon Aubrey. And if it
Yeah.
don't work, so what? Then this whole operation will be blown up next year if it doesn't work. But I'd rather live with the possibility of seeing what Drew Stevens is opposed to relying on Jake Moody. And we know what Jake Moody is. You know what I mean? We know what he is. So I'm fine with it. I hope it works out because again, the next 15, 20 years would be cool to not have to worry about the kicking position, especially. And then us as fans, we deserve it. I mean, I think that's probably like the second position stands for quarterback that we have been in like this wilderness of trying to find. Uh, Chris Blewett, Austin Seibert, Cade York. You know what I mean?
Sweet.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, a lot of y'all talk about Sean Sweezum, Graham Gano, Kyle Forbath. I think we held on to Dustin Hopkins longer than we should have.
Mm-hmm.
They let him go in 2016. So we've never been able to find that kicking position or kicking person. And I think this may be it. You know, I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but it's hard not to when you see him warming up kicking from the logo and with room to spare. And you look at his 70 yards that he's making in practice in terms of the older clips that I've seen, and he's drilling it from 55 in college. Like, it's hard to not get excited about him. Now, I will say, now that we have ended this kicking battle per se, I hope Dan Quinn's becomes more aggressive next week and in the following preseason game because now you got nothing to lose. You can't penalize him because you firmly already made your decision to roll with him. So let him kick that 50-yard, let him kick that 60-yard. I was kind of pissed that he didn't, that when them drives started out, let him kick it, see what he got. You know what I mean? He's from, what was it, from I think 60 or 56 or something
Mm-hmm.
like that. Like, man, come on, it's the preseason. So I hope now that he has made his decision to rely on Drew Stevens this year. When we go to Detroit, man, if the drive start off and it's a 55-yard, let's see what he got. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So that's all I'm looking forward to seeing.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I'm gonna show my age as you got the name of the kickers, but I'm just sitting thinking like we haven't really had a real kicker since like Chip Lowmiller. And
Mm.
you know what I mean? That was when I was a kid, you know what I mean? So and he was like a consistent kicker. So we haven't had nobody since then. You know what I mean? And again, it was great to kind of take the chance on a youngin, but you know, just right here, like the young Spike says, Stevens has a real leg. I'm sure he'll have his ups and downs, but the coaches need to stick with him and help him build up his confidence in the clutch. Bro, he's only 22. The sky's the limit. And that's absolutely true for the simple fact, like, you're going to have them growing pains with him. Now that you made him the guy, it may be cool to go get another guy to continue to have competition, but for real, like competition in practice. In the rest of these preseason games, he need to kick every single fucking kick, and he needs to get them reps, to move forward. So if they go competition, cool. If they don't, then let him do what he got to do. But you got to have him growing pains. If he starts out, sluggish or inconsistent, you have to stick with him. With him only being 22, I think that you took a chance, and here we are. So till the wheels fall off.
Yeah, I'm with you right there. I think I kind of look at it like Tyler Loop last year for the Ravens. And hopefully, it doesn't come down to how his season ended with missing a chip shot against the Steelers. Hopefully, that doesn't happen. But I look at it from that perspective of something like that is going to happen this year, whether it's a chip shot, missed field goal, a missed game winner. Like, it's going to happen. I mean, if he's perfect, that would be absolutely crazy, and I would be ecstatic. But I'm a realist at the end of the day. Like, I expect him to miss a kick or two, one go wide left. I'm expecting to miss a clutch kick. You know it's a part of the game. It's what we should expect as a rookie guy. Now if he doesn't, he's just coming out the gates blazing hot, and he just has an outstanding season. then shit, that means we got us one. But I'm not unrealistic. I expect him to struggle a little bit. Not struggle, but have some times where he may miss or he may have a PAT where, it may not go through. But other than that, you like you said, you made your decision, and I think you just roll with it unless it gets like horribly to the point where he's costing us multiple games, or it gets bad. But I don't think they they would be confident in making this move if they felt that way, especially this early. Because I wasn't surprised that Jake Moody got cut. I was more so surprised at how soon they did it. I thought they was going to
Yeah,
at least
correct,
go through the whole entire preseason
correct,
and
correct,
at
correct.
least see it through. But I guess the kick, the doink was enough for them to say, you know what, this is Drew Stevens' job. I think, especially with the injury to Marcus Mariota, as we'll get to a little bit later, I would love to see the starters, but I don't need that's in jeopardy. But what I would say is I think he's now probably the most anticipated person to watch in the rest of the preseason, because you made your decision very clear. And I'm sure there were some Jake Moody stands out there. And if if it doesn't go right, people are gonna flip. You know what I mean? That's why I said I hate to make that decision at the kicking position, the kicking battle, because I don't see it being right. Like if Drew Stevens, unless Drew Stevens comes in and does exactly what we think he can do, is take a hold of this kicker position, and be the kicker for the next 15, 20 years, great. But if he struggles, and let's say Jake Moody gets picked up by a team and he's doing well, fans are going to flip. Oh, we see you should have kept Jake Moody. You should have kept Jake Moody instead of going with the young guy. I told you. Or flip side, if we would have let go of Drew Stevens, and let Jake Moody be the winner or whatever may have you, and he struggled, whatever, people gonna say you should have went with Drew Stevens. So that's why I say I would have hate to have to make that decision, but ultimately, me personally, I think they made the right decision. Now, again, time will tell when we get to those clutch games and those, because I think we're going to be in a lot of close games this year. I mean, you look at the schedule. Of course, you started off with Philly and Dallas. It wouldn't surprise me if that came down to a kicking battle. That came down to a walk-off field goal opportunity. And then obviously you look at Seattle and the Rams and the Falcons. Like, we're going to be in a lot of close games this year. So I think we're going to rely heavily upon Drew Stevens in year one. And is the young fella going to be up to the task? I'm willing to see.
Yeah, facts. Facts. Get a lot of them points. Hopefully what I mean, he do what he gotta do. He did miss an extra point, what I mean, that was end up being a flag, so it didn't count. And he got the re-kick and made it. But what I mean, definitely tune that up. He's not a perfect guy, but what I mean, definitely excited for what he could potentially be for this team and hope to be. But moving along to one of the roster moves of today. Today we made two signings. One being first up, Craig Reynolds. Craig Reynolds was formerly of the Redskins at one point. He had a stint with us, and he has ties with the Lions. He was in Detroit with Blau, and basically a veteran running back, speed, versatility, experience. And pretty much, right now we're dealing with the injury of McNichols. He's been out with a quad injury. So, what I mean, when I saw this signing, first up, the thing I thought about, I was listening to actually this morning, going into work, I was listening to Cam's podcast from yesterday, and he was just talking about the injuries, and he brought up McNichols, and he was saying that, and then actually right after that, I seen that we had some tryouts. Craig Reynolds' name was on that list. It stood out amongst the list, and I'm like, Craig Reynolds, that's a familiar name. So to see today that when they said we signed him, I'm like, well, there it is. Like, what I mean, he was the one on the list. But yeah, like when you heard about the signing and how did you feel about it? And for me, one thing I will say is that I feel like this is like just like a numbers thing. From a sense of, yeah, McNichols is out, so you automatically bring somebody in here. This is another body. It helps with the reps, just the practice bodies as well. It could be, a filler for special teams or something like that. You never know. But when you saw the signing, how did you feel about it, Juan?
Yeah, I mean, when I seen it, I looked at it, I said, okay, interesting. I don't necessarily think Craig Reynolds is somebody that's gonna make this roster. I think it's just somebody kind of similar to his name slipping my mind. I think Barlow or I forgot, but the D lineman that we recently just signed. It's kind of I look at it kind of like that, where he's not making this roster, but you do need guys to go out there and fill out the preseason games and actually play. And you're also giving them an opportunity to audition for 31 other teams. Um, I do think that Jeremy McNichols' injury has a factor in this, and I also feel as though maybe they feel like Robert Henry Jr. is somebody that they're entertaining with possibly making this roster. So maybe they're like, we not that he earned his spot because he still got a lot to prove. But maybe they brought him in because they like, we don't want to continue to put this guy on display like if we don't end up deciding to keep him on an active roster. You know what I'm saying? Because if he does not make this roster, of course, as we know, at least from what I've always known it as, when you want to cut a player, they have to go through waivers first, and then you can bring him back on the practice squad.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to keep exposed because Robert Henry Jr. already showed enough to me to at least entertain the possibility of him being the fourth running back if they do decide to keep forward. But if they don't, you don't want to continue to let him dominate and then cut him, and then he decides to, or then he gets picked up by another team that had maybe been watching your stuff. Kind of like Mitchell Tinsley to me, right? Like Mitchell Tinsley was balling in all preseason games, and then eventually we didn't bring him back, and he got scooped up. So maybe this could be another reason. Another reason that I also think about is Jeremy McNichols' time could be numbered. I think a big reason why Jeremy McNichols survived so many years is because, for one, he is a quality back for sure, but also has special teams ability. Well,
All of them. They play
yeah,
every special teams.
I think Robert Henry Jr. could come in and he could be that replacement. I mean, I would prefer to go that route. I thank J Mac for his services. I mean, he was really stellar for us, but I'm very intrigued into this running back room. I would love for this room to be euthanized in a sense. And I'm telling you, it's something to him. You know, he looked good. I was there at the game. He looked good, man. And I don't know if I want to risk, the possibility of losing him, even though more than likely than not, we'll be able to get him back on the practice squad. But that's my take.
Yeah. Definitely. I feel you on the McNichols part too. All off season, when you're looking at the running back room, you're looking at it and you're saying, okay, cool. So we are here with. Hold on one second. So he's saying, okay, cool. We got Bill, we got Rashad, you got Jerome Ford, you got Kaytron, you got McNichols. You know what I mean? Automatically you saying, my prediction looking at that list, I'm like, all right, Jerome Ford is the odd man out. And the reason why I said it is simply because, like you said, McNichols plays every special team. He's a veteran guy. They love him, and things of that nature. But one thing I did like about the Jerome Ford signing was to bring real competition in the back of the room. So, what I mean? You go out there and you get quality guys, you raising the floor in that room. This year, it feels like Dan and AP has done that in almost every room, though. They've, basically went and got other guys. So, like, you okay, we need a wide receiver. All right, we're going to get Diggs. Here, Diggs can step in and be the number two. But he's going, he raises the floor for us. We're not going to go fill in and go get another guy that's going to be stuck at, wide receiver 4 or 5 that, ain't really going to make a difference. Same thing in the cornerback room. We was like, oh, we need another corner. We didn't expect him to go get Rasul Douglas. Now, he arguably potentially may be the best corner on the squad, a guy that we signed late in the offseason. Even, even as well as, was another signing I was just about to say, but with Faber and Maru, you go get a guy a quality guy that has reps. Like he comes here and he's not going to be, even if he is the last corner, he's going to be a corner that's going to be in the rotation. This is not somebody that's going to sit in the back end. He's on and off the practice squad guys filling out the roster. That's not the case. So I think that, bringing them forward was, a quality thing. But now you look at it and when you see rookie guys like, Kaytron was kind of already pretty much going to be a lock. He was drafted. But, you got Robert Henry Jr. coming in and having the game that he had. And they're talking about, especially with the pass blocking as well. So he really stepping up. And he was out there on special teams. So, If he continues what he's doing there, he definitely makes it interesting and make you make a tough decision with a guy like McNichols. And it doesn't help McNichols that he's out with an injury. He might start out the season on IR, to be honest. And if that end up being the case, then we that buys us 4 weeks to kind of figure out, if it's the 4 week IR. But it buys us some time to try to figure out, give Robert Henry a spot or figure out how else we want to play that running back room. So we could do many different things right now. So it's intriguing to see what happens.
I don't think you're wrong, Phil, when you say I disagree. I think McNichols is the all around best black back we have. I don't think you're wrong, but I personally think it's Rachaad White at this point. Now, if you're including special teams, and I don't have no argument for that because Rachaad White doesn't play special teams. But if you're talking about strictly offensively, as the pure runner, as the pure pass blocker, and the ability to be a receiving threat, I think it's Rachaad White. But that's not too far off. I just think for
Yeah.
me, when it comes to McNichols, it's not really an indictment of him. It's more so like, I'm
Is that a
interested
bump
in.
in the room? Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm interested to see what Robert Henry is, and according to Dan Quinn's way of doing things this summer or this off season, he's kind of the guy that clearly with the Drew Stevens move. I'm gonna be aggressive. I'm gonna roll the dice, take a chance on a guy that we really don't know. That's where I'm at with it. Like we got two backs that we feel comfortable in, and Bill and Rachaad White. Obviously, we don't know what Fat Man is, but I think after seeing what Fat Man is, we kind of realized, okay, he's quality. He's a short yardage back. No one wants to tackle him. He's gonna be good. He's gonna be exactly what we thought he was gonna be coming out of Penn State. So maybe that's enough for them to be like, okay, we keep three backs. But if they keep four, I'm like, we know what J Mac is. J Mac has been good. But I think we need to roll the dice and go. Let's see what this other guy it has to offer. I don't think you really lose too much with rolling the dice on Robert Henry Jr. Because at the end of the day, if you are you really gonna miss J Mac's presence that much? I don't think so because you got that in
Rachaad White.
Rachaad White that can
Yeah.
literally do everything. And then if you like, well, one, we need him for his special teams ability. I don't know if you seen what we seen Z, but not Z, but the chat. Man, we were so worried about because Revo is probably gonna be a starter, and we lost Nick Ballore into retirement. Man, Darius Rush and all them guys on special teams
Antonio
ain't playing.
Hamilton, senior.
Antonio Hamilton, they ain't playing. They might make this team solely off of that. So if you're like, our special teams gonna take a major hit if we lose J Mac, I'm not gonna say it won't take a hit because he is a special teams guy. But what outweigh what weighs like for you? What weighs more? Taking a chance on a guy that can be added to this running back room that could give a true spot to already a really good talented running back room, or I like the savvy vet and Jeremy McNichols. We know what he is, and he can provide a special teams ability. Let's just roll it back with J Mac. I think his injury, like you said, plays a factor in it too, though. Like I think this is why I feel elated for Robert Henry Jr. because this opportunity probably wouldn't have came about had J Mac been healthy.
Correct.
So again, of course, he got a lot to work on in terms of continuing to prove himself. If he goes, but I say this, man, if he goes out in Detroit and has another stellar performance, I think that's a real conversation to have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's definitely true. Definitely true. So, the running back room is definitely. I think this year should be a strength. With what Bill brings in the backfield. Already. Coming in, pause, beefed up. They put on some weight. And he's basically getting them ready for that compact. They they're working them into the passing game as well. So you're expecting, to see more out of Bill, more usage. Now, you pair that with White, brings us another element, the Eckler, McNichols, pass catching guy, but also a guy that can, line up in the backfield and run the ball too. He stepped in plenty of times for Bucky Irvin, and filled in and did great. And you now you got another element with Fat Man. Robert Henry is, in the mix now. It gets real interesting. Craig Reynolds, I think, will just be a roster spot. But like I said, you can potentially put McNichols on IR and then figure out after 4 weeks what you want to do. So we're kind of in a good situation when it comes to the running back room. But
Hmm.
moving along to our next signing today, we also, per Matt Zenitz, the Commanders are expected to sign veteran linebacker Chris Bonds. Chris Bonds is a guy formerly of the Packers, Cardinals, and the Jets. He has 303 career tackles. He brings NFL experience and depth to the linebacker room. How do you feel about this one?
I think it's again another move where it's just a guy for a camp body. I don't know. I don't recall, but did someone in the linebacker room get shaken up on Friday? Um, because
Yeah, nobody I know.
from top to bottom, I don't see this like it being no type of room for him to even make an impact on his roster. I mean, from this linebacking core, I think it might is it a stretch to say that it might be our most stacked position group on the team. From Sonny Styles to Frankie Louvu and Leo Chanel as our three main starters, and you still got Jordan McGee, Kane Madrano, who made a nice play, could have had another interception.
Mhm.
Added to the total for that to a three on a night. Al Kaiho's out there making plays. I don't see this being a needle mover. Instead, for just another guy that can continue to play in the back half of these preseason games. That way, we don't have to risk our other guys that are going to be obviously key contributors to this team because both Al Kaiho and Cameron made the roster last year clearly, and I don't see them that I don't see that not happening again, especially after those guys putting up stellar performances. So again, I think this is just another move in which the Washington Commanders are just bringing guys in to uh, to fill out the roster spots as we proceed through the preseason.
Yeah, I definitely think that too. Not sure what what leads out of this signing. Also, not sure what corresponding roster move will follow it. So, yeah, I mean, we'll see. I guess maybe. Well, we brought in Reynolds and then we cut Moody. So yeah, it will definitely be another roster move to be made. Probably tomorrow. I mean, well, definitely tomorrow. They'll announce that in the morning. But tomorrow's practice as well is going to tomorrow and Wednesday both practices are contact back to back practice and pads, and we have the game Saturday against the Lions. So, is there a joint practice with them? Is there a joint practice with every preseason game?
No, it's just the Ravens and the Dolphins. I
Okay.
don't think they're doing a joint practice with Detroit. Now, if Detroit was at home, it's a different story. But because we were at home with the Dolphins and Baltimore ain't far, that's the two. I feel like every year we tend to have a joint practice with Baltimore, which makes sense, of
Yeah,
course, right?
correct. It's right
Because
up the road.
we tend to play them every preseason, so it makes sense. But nah, I don't think it's a joint. It's not a joint practice with Detroit. And to that point of Detroit, Marcus Mariota's hurt. Obviously, we lost Lammy Tunsil. A couple other guys are shaking up still. Trey Amos is not back. Do you play? Of course, originally this is the dress rehearsal game. But do you play the starters now? Like, are you concerned a little bit with the Mariota injury? I mean, at the end of the day, right? It's not a shocker that Mariota's hurt. This is his story of his career. Every single year he's been here, he's been hurt in some capacity. So he missed the whole preseason last year due to injury. So I don't think it's a
Mhm.
surprise that he got hurt. It's more of just like, huh? Do you now have to change your game plan or move cautiously, given the fact that he was hurt, or do you still proceed business as usual? I think him being hurt out opens the door for AK, who I was blown away with. I think he's clearly the QB2 of the future. People are already saying he looks like a young Kirk Cousins. I'm already in my head like, hold on, what if David Blau gets a job next year and he takes him with him? Things like that. Maybe we could trade him for I'm already thinking too far ahead after one performance with that guy. But sometimes when a guy has it, and I see it from AK. So Mariota gets hurt. Touch on that, and does that change your game plan moving forward into week 2 of the preseason, which in the past it's considered the dress rehearsal game for most teams?
Um, Across the board, I say no. Um, I think they should still allow the starters to play. Now, in reference to Jaden. I think maybe you scale back on the amount of reps you probably was going to give Jaden. So whether that in the sense if he was going to kind of play a quarter, maybe let him play a few series or something like that. But as far as the rest of the starters, I think it should be business as usual. In reference to the Mariota injury, it is something that continues to happen. But to be honest with you, Juan, I was at practice the other day, and it kind of like as I've been monitoring, just looking at stuff up to this point, I honestly feel Mariota might not be a fit for this offense. Mariota came in, at the Savior Cliff, you know what I mean? And, he was a pretty good backup. He's built that relationship with Jaden. So, what I mean? It's bigger than just, football at this point. So I think that, he lasts this year, but I don't think after this year, um, he sticks around. But even in a sense, like if they was just hypothetically to just make a big surprise and to move on from him, I wouldn't be surprised because at the end of the day, I just don't see the fit. It just he'd be ready to take off and run. And you know what I mean? Like even in the joint practice, like the dude was taking off and running. It's like, dude, it's the joint practice. Like stand back there and execute the play. Like they can't hit you anyway. So it just looked like he's overthinking. He's looked like he's struggling a little bit in the offense. I don't know, and just doesn't look comfortable. Um, and he always gonna do some dumb shit. So it's just like me personally, I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if they made a move, but more than likely they're gonna keep him with, the instability we have. I mean, you're not just gonna pass over QB2 to AK, but if Sam Hartman was any bit of an ounce of better, yeah, Mariota probably would be out because then you would have two guys that you could potentially, trial with. But with Hartman being ass, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't see Mariota going anywhere this year.
Yeah, correct.
But that still doesn't change the fact that I think Calica Mayonnaise or Kaliak Mayonnaise. I don't know how the hell you say his name, but I feel like Calica Mayonnaise is so much better than Kaliak Mayonnaise. Whatever.
Go ahead.
AK. Just leave it at AK. I think I hate being so bullish and so easy in terms of being sold on a player, but like
Yeah.
when I was at the game, and of course we know how the players warm up like in between drives. There's just a total difference in the
Yeah.
zip on passes that AK has versus Sam Hartman and the decisiveness that he has. First play of the game, they call an under center play action fake into not a bomb, but a nice ball to Antonio Williams on the sideline.
Mhm.
Like he just has it as a and I would love for him to be the backup here for the future. But I can't help but imagine if David Blau does get a job, he could be the guy that goes with him. But Mariota ain't gonna go nowhere this year. I think this is his final year, though. I think prior to even seeing it in the preseason, I think just the draft pick in itself was kind of a sign that hey, the time on
Facts.
Mariota is running out. I
Facts.
think maybe they already knew this offense probably wouldn't have fit Mariota, but they would rather see it than just assume. But it doesn't
Mhm.
surprise me that this offense, because you're not the only one that says this or has said this, but it doesn't surprise me that this offense doesn't fit Mariota. And it's not an indictment on him. Everybody just has different play styles. His whole entire career, he's been a college out of the gun spread offense kind of guy. Cliff Kingsbury kind of do, and this is not what this offense is anymore. Similar to who was I talking about? J Mac. He just ran his course, man. We appreciate him for everything he's done. He's been a true locker room guy, a true leader, a true uh, person that is crucial of Jaden Daniels' development. His course is just over here. I don't think his career is over, but I do think his time in Washington may be done after this season. And I hope he comes back healthy because I want to finish it on a high note. You know what I mean? I would love to give Mariota a Super Bowl ring. I'm saying we're going to Super Bowl, but that's the highest thing possible. Because if there is one guy that deserves it for his role, it would be Mariota stepping in crucial last year, stepping in 2024 when Jaden Daniels went down versus the Panthers. So he's a great guy, great quarterback as a backup. Like he's probably one of the best backups in the league. Like I look at him and Jacoby Brissett as like some of the guys that you would love to have as backups on your team that can give you opportunities to win games, and he's one of the best. So it just, to me, it ran its course, and now it's Kyle Jimenez season next year, at least you would say. But in terms of the injury, man, not surprised that it happened at all. This is just the story of his career, and this is one of the biggest reasons that he hasn't been able to be a consistent starter for teams, because you just know he's gonna get hurt, man. He got banged up multiple times last year. I know the Dolphins game for sure was one of them where he got banged up. So hopefully we get him back healthy. But I definitely know this is probably the last year of Marcus
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And staying on the injury tip, we already kind of hinted at it, but Trey Amos, started out. Of course, last year he had the injury. Elected not to get surgery. And battling that, started out on one of the injury lists. They were saying it was like what was it, potentially soft tissue or something like that. Came back, practiced once, came down on his ankle. Dan Quinn mentioned that him and Terry went up for a pass one-on-one situation, and he came down on Terry ankle. And he, it wasn't a whole big concern in a sense, but I mean, he walked off and went to the locker room and hasn't practiced since. We did not think it would kind of last up to this point, but now they're talking even a longer period. What I mean, now of course the Commanders content algorithm is all talking about how Trey Amos may be a bust. Yet another pick that potentially he's not working out. I mean, yes, he's talented, but he can never be on the field. Things of that nature. And what I mean, and again, we end up going to get Rasul Douglas. When we signed him, people were saying, "Well, hey, man, maybe I wonder, I worry about Trey." We didn't just go get a bottom filler guy. We wouldn't get a guy that could actually take reps. So it was some questions there, and I mean, he continues to be out. So I would just ask you, concern level, 1 to 10. How are you? Where are you as far as Trey? And if he's gonna be ready, because I mean, we got the second preseason coming up. He won't be ready for that. Maybe he's ready for the Ravens, but did Dan Quinn say 2-3 weeks or something like that? Did I hear that right? Yeah. So just like, where are you, and you think he'll be ready week one? If he is, should he actually play? You're on mute.
See, yeah, man, that's a tough one to really decide, because for me, I am a massive Trey Amos believer. But if you go back to his time at Ole Miss, this is what they tried to warn us about. Like,
Yeah,
he has
injuries.
an injury history, and that was the kind of risk that you had to take if you drafted him in the second round. And to this point, it's been nothing but injuries. After the leg injury last year, he missed the majority of last season. On the back half. Then this summer he spent time rehabbing, elected not to get surgery, so maybe that had an effect on him a little bit. And then in terms of his healing process, and then in his first practice, man, he gets banged up. And I was there at training camp that day, and I vividly remember watching that play. I didn't know he got hurt though, because he thought he made a good defensive play. He did like this on Terry McLaurin, so I didn't know he got hurt. But come to find out, he is hurt. Maybe that ankle injury, like, they have to start being. I wish they were more direct. You know what I mean? Because I think they were like, it's soreness. It's not
Hmm.
soreness, man. It's something. Whether it's a high ankle sprain, because I think Jeremiah Love just got a high ankle sprain. Like, it got to be something to the effect of that. It ain't just no soreness, man. Because
Yeah.
if it was, I think he would be back out there. But I would say 6.5. If he's not out there week one, that would be very concerning. But I do think the depth on this defense and this cornerback room is better than where we believe, especially with the two veterans of Rasul Douglas and Fabian Monroe. Now, it's not ideal that our two starter corners would be Rasul Douglas and probably Mikey Sanders still. I'm a massive Mikey fan. Um, I would feel comfortable with Trey Amos being out there. But if I had to say, I think he misses the entire preseason. At this point, I just want him to get through one practice before I even think about him playing a game.
Nah,
So
fact.
right now, I would say 6.5, 6.5 out of 10 right now.
Yeah.
Given the fact that he has not practiced much, and I don't see him playing in the preseason. Now, if you ask me, like after the preseason and he still hasn't done nothing, then it comes out 4 weeks later, he has to start the season on IR. Then I'm like, hold on, I'm panicking because what the hell happened to his ankle? It ain't just soreness. It ain't just a high ankle sprain. Because shit, even high ankle sprain from this time frame or when he got hurt in practice, because that's what they're saying it is, right? They're saying it's his ankle. They're not talking about his knee injury anymore. They're talking about the ankle. So from the time of the ankle injury until let's say the start of the regular season, shit, man, the high ankle sprain should be healed by now, or at least close to. So if we get to the point of that, and he's still like they say he has to start the year on the physically unable to perform list, that would raise my concern level probably from a 6.5 to probably like an 8.
Yeah. Reedie.
What up, fellas? What up? How y'all doing?
All is well. All is well. We are discussing Trey Amos and his injury. I mean, starting out the off-season training camp on injury, coming back with one practice, getting re-injured, and now Dan Quinn is saying that he will not participate in practice at all this week. So we just wondering your concern level 1 to 10 of Trey Amos, and do you think he'll be ready week one? And if he is, should he even be allowed to play with the fact that he hasn't even really practiced?
I think my concern level is maybe a 6 or a 7. Um, but that was the concerns when he came out of college. Like he was injury prone or things of that nature. Like when he transferred, wasn't he at Alabama before? Then he went to before he
Ole
went to Ole
Miss.
Miss.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so like that was the concerns then. I mean, it's crazy. Like, and I said this a long time ago. Like, there had to been something else going on with him other than that fibula injury because the timeline took entirely too long. So there was a setback or there was something, and then you come in and then you have the ankle injury. But I mean, I guess when you're rehabbing certain injuries and stuff like that, you are prone to injure other things because you're maybe lacking in that strengthening and things of that nature for that specific injury. But I would say like it's kind of like concerning at this point. We brought in Rasul Douglas kind of to show up, that cornerback room, and I don't know. I mean, I would prefer to have other guys, not play on the outside. I would prefer him to play on the outside. But guys like Antonio Hamilton, that seems like he's going to make the team not necessarily as a cornerback, but as a special teams player because he played with his hair on fire, in my opinion, in the preseason game. So, I mean, that's going to be big to see what happens with it. But I would say my concern level will be somewhere in that 6.5, 7 range for Trey Amos.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And Juan said a 6.5. For me, I think I'm in that 7, 8 range as well because it's like, bro, like, I mean, at the end of the day, yes, I understand, and I thought about that earlier too. That he was injured when we drafted him, and that was going to be a thing. But I'm just thinking from the reps aspect and just really looking into it. Like this year, like we ain't really got no time to kind of play around, throwing guys out there that ain't practicing all that. Like it's gonna be a tough one. So hopefully he's fine and that he can be eased back. But what I mean, like I said, if he is available week one, I probably would just, I wouldn't let him start. I wouldn't let him go out there and get all them reps because I don't, what I mean, he's not getting the reps in practice. And I think that's going to be key. We saw last year with, walking Terry out there after missing all camp and, the little bit of practice he did, how he ended up getting injured and how everything kind of trickled. So,
But
yeah,
I mean,
that's good.
I to your point, but I think that I mean that opportunity a little bit, even though the schedule is tough up front, I think because um, the Eagles, are we necessarily scared of Lemon? Or are we scared? You know what I'm saying? It's like it's AJ Brown and Devontae Smith out there again. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like, Devontae Smith is one thing, but I feel like you can lock down one or the other. Like, they're not going to necessarily hurt you as a A.J. Brown will hurt you. So I feel like you have kind of like that opportunity to, maybe rest him for a week or so, if possible, if you need to.
Gotcha. Anything to add, Juan?
I mean, I wouldn't say we're necessarily scared of them. I mean, I don't even know. I haven't paid attention to Philly too much, but last time I heard McConnell Lemon still ain't practiced. At that point, they're both dealing with hamstrings. The last time I checked, so I don't even know how cautious they or how prepared they would be when it comes to week one. But I mean, it would just raise concern level for me. Like I said, regardless of who the opponent is, how is he not ready for week one? At this point, it's got to be something deeper than what we're led to believe. So, like I said, my 6.5 nervous level or concern level would immediately raise up 8-9 if he's not ready by week one, because from this point to week one is still like 2.5 3 weeks from now. He should be fine if it's what they're saying it is. But part of me don't believe it believes is more than what they're telling us. And if he's not ready week one, that's definitely concerning. Not because of the opponent, because regardless, if it was the Cardinals we were leading off with, I still would be concerned because it's more about him as a player. Like, what's going on? Why is he not ready to play football? Opposed to, oh, it's Mekhi Lemon, it's Devonta Smith. Now, I would be lying to you if I said week two doesn't play a factor in it with CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens. Yeah, that is concerning. But regardless, even with Trey Amos, I think we would still kind of struggle with them potentially. But yeah, that's what it is for me. It's more so worrying about where he is, and I think we'll get an answer here shortly, depending on how the preseason wraps up. I don't expect him to play Saturday. I don't expect him to play Friday. Like I said, Reedie, before you jumped on, I just want him to participate in a full practice, a padded practice. I don't care about a side field. I don't care about a walkthrough or a day with shifts. I need him to complete a full day of padded practice before I even entertain the possibility of him playing on the field. I think at this point that I'm probably already mentally preparing for him to miss a couple of the starting games, and hopefully I'm wrong, but that's where I'm at with it.
So I didn't hear coach's comments. So did he say how long he was going to be out for it? Will he be back for the joint practice next week with the Ravens, or what's
He,
the
he said he won't.
prognosis?
He said he won't practice this week.
Oh, so week is still up in the air. To
I
your
guess
point,
he's
Juan,
just
I think
doing the update thing.
I would say, I mean, we always who you and those matchups, that comes to the forefront. But I do agree with you on that week two matchup. That definitely is concerning. But week one, like I said, if he needs to miss week one, I'm cool with it. But hopefully he can get back next week in the joint practice. I mean, because they're not going to play. I mean, I'd be surprised. I was telling Z earlier, I'd be surprised if Jaden even plays this week in the second preseason game where you'll see a lot of the starters. I think we take the cautious approach and not even really play none of our guys. Kind of just playing it safe. You know what I'm saying? Situation because one, they said that practice has been ramped up in this camp, and then two, you had two joint practices to kind of get you some of that work that they would get in these preseason games. So I feel like that should be enough. So me saying them in a preseason game isn't really an identifier of if they're ready or if they're not. I think the joint practices gives you more than with that preseason game, a series or two or whatever or quarter, gives you, in my opinion. So I think if he can play in that practice next week, I think I would be confident that he'll be ready for week one if he's able to kind of come back and solidify things now.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So staying on the defense, another big topic around the team right now is Johnny Newton. I'm gonna start with you, Reedy. It's been a lot of talks about how Johnny Newton has, he looked a week out there. He didn't really do much, and kind of like give me your thoughts on Johnny, his evaluation from the preseason game, and how you feeling about him right now.
I mean, it's year three. I mean, we've pretty much said ad nauseum on this channel all off season. Like this is a big year for the guys that are going into year three. So I mean, At this point, I mean, I don't know if you get much in the trade value, but if he ain't cutting it, I mean, you got other guys that was in there that I seen Barber and Tuttle and other guys in there that was getting the job done. I mean, hey, it is what it is. We released the kicker today. I mean, hey, I mean, you might have to release him if there's guys that's outperforming. I mean, that where you drafted guys, sometimes you got to move on. I mean, they moved on from guys before that they drafted, so I mean, this might be time to move on from them. I mean, based off of what we're saying, but I do think there's a lot of potential there, and I do think that he can make some plays, but I don't necessarily think you might want to put him at a defensive end more than a inside tackle, nose tackle type vibe. I don't think he's best suited there. So they may want to look into doing that, or maybe cut bait right now, and as we go into this second preseason game, and maybe move on from him and give one of these other guys that's further down on the roster a shot. Because I mean, to the naked eye, when I put on the game the other day, a couple of those guys was flashing in front of my face. So I mean, I'm confident with either way they go. If they trade him, if whatever they do, they cut him, whatever.
Yeah, yeah. Johnny Luton. This clip here is basically every run defense snap that he had in week one. And shout out to Grant from Full Command for putting this together. But yeah, like I felt like that. Yeah, he just looked lost out there. No fight, just lacking, looking lazy, just getting pushed all over. So it definitely for me, yeah, it's just like it's kind of I'm a little blown by it because one, I expected him to kind of be a steal in a sense. We talked about how he was first round talent when he came out the draft out of Illinois. He came another guy who came in with injuries. Then the first year he battled with injuries. Last year, what I mean, he didn't really do much. He had flashes towards the back end of the season. And now here we are, and it's like, all right, what now? You kind of expected a big third year, an increase from him, just through this one preseason game, we haven't gotten that. So, just going to be, kind of interesting to see what happens there. But I mean, he could be a guy that's on the bubble. I mean, like you said, Barber, Tuttle, other guys flashing in that room, and it's already crowded. I mean, when you got Settle, you got Kinlaw, you got Payne. So yeah, Johnny needs to figure it out, or he could be, a potential cut. But next up, I would say let's kind of channel back in. Let's kind of channel in on the wide receiver room real quick.
Is Juan
Um,
here, or did he
he said
step
he
out?
said he said he had to step to the restaurant real quick.
Oh, all right, okay.
But yeah, I was gonna say, in reference to where are we now with the wide receiver room after one preseason game? Has anything changed in your mind, or is everything still kind of like the same?
I mean, we saw guys that are potentially going to be or on the bubble, or that they're saying that's not going to possibly make the team, make a couple plays. I mean, and then guys that they said that are locks didn't do shit. So I mean, it just depends on your perspective and how you feel about it. I felt like in this opportunity that he had, Luke McCaffrey did nothing with his opportunities. He showed me absolutely nothing. And then there were other guys that were on the bottom tier of the roster that, with their opportunities, they did more. So I mean, I don't think it necessarily moves the needle that much on it. I mean, I'm giving it, it's one preseason game. Okay, cool. Now let's see what happens in this next game. But I think, their guys are kind of like still where they stand a little bit at this point. But you also got to look at the quarterback play too as well. A guy like Sam Hartman, Nathan Callum
Hey,
Kamenis, or whatever his name is, however you pronounce his name. I thought he played pretty well. So I mean, I thought guys took advantage of the opportunities for what they were, given. So, but I don't think it necessarily moves the needle. I think another room that that kind of moves the needle more than the wide receiver room. So I think we're kind of still at the same place we're at, with our perspectives on these different wide receivers and for now. But we'll see more this week if Jaden plays or whoever plays or however they do it. We'll see.
Yeah, I feel you on that. That what I was about to say. Shit. Who we talking about? Oh, the wide receiver room. Uh, I remember before the game, somebody was saying that they hope Diggs got some reps. I kind of knew that wasn't gonna be the case.
Yeah.
You know, what I mean, coming in, you see Antonio Williams kind of, he was definitely bubble wrapped. He didn't really get in the game until late in the second quarter. You know, what I mean, it was only for a few reps. He didn't play a whole lot. So I think they're definitely, trying to hide him because they know that I guess they may have seen enough and know what he could potentially do for this offense. In reference to, we saw Diami have a nice catch with like 22 yards. He also had a pass where Hartman screwed the pass up, but he ended up throwing an interception. But Diami kind of was wide open. There was another play where Luke was wide open in the zone as well that Hartman didn't throw. But all in all, we saw good reps from some people. Jaden Brown, Jaden Bradley, what I mean, he hooped. Even Uncle was even telling me that on punt return, he was damn near back there about to block the punt every time.
Oh yeah,
So we
definitely was on good special teams play. I think, not to cut you off, but I think that's a good spot. Seeing that.
Yeah, absolutely, because that could potentially help him, with the roster spot. What I mean, we continue to see just trying to how the wide receiver room is going to kind of mold out. But another guy, Jalen Lane, somebody that I've been saying that I didn't feel like was really built to be a wide receiver in this league. But he's a hell of a returner. But he kind of stepped in and doing his thing. So he kind of flashed. And I was hearing on Grant and Danny earlier. Grant was saying that he was surprised to see Jalen Lane kind of step up and have a good game because he's had a quiet camp all season. You know what I mean? So like you said, you saw increase from a lot of guys. What I mean, I think Van Jefferson got a catch in there. You kind of know what you have in a Van Jefferson. What I mean? But the jury is still out on like the big question is Luke, in a sense. Luke was one of the guys that kind of stood out and didn't really do much. So the question was, Juan, now after one preseason game, has have we has anything changed for the wide receiver room, or do you feel like it's the same?
You're on mute.
Yeah, what is Juan getting the sound together? But also, y'all, if y'all haven't already, please like, share, subscribe at the Burgundy Breakdown. Wash right here on YouTube. We are on the road to 1K, so help us get there. Also on our individual channels, make sure you like, share, subscribe at Reedie and Zee, Juan Gotti Talking Sports, and Ballin In Burgundy podcast. Juan, you good?
My sound back.
Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah, it's time for a new Mike Ben time. But I think for me, it's tough. I think it's better than what I actually expected after seeing in the preseason game. I know we talked about the receiver room in camp, and especially with the addition of Diggs, how much more excited we are with this room. But I think it kind of confirmed the excitement level, even in this little bit of in a little bit of spurts that we got from different guys. But my confidence of Jalen Lane, as you already talked, as a receiver, kind of improved because it was a catch in traffic. It was kind of a contested catch a little bit that he made, if you ask me. Treylon Burks had a catch, and he could have had another one. I think the Mariota, the one that fell incomplete, I believe. Diami Brown had a catch as well. Even the back end of the roster, guys like Jacoby Jones, even though he had a catch and drop, he made a nice grab. This is what I was looking for from Sam Hartman, not to go back to quarterback, but Sam Hartman last year. I really think a Ja'Cory Brooks would have benefited major from an eighth in college command is right now because a lot of these back-end guys may not ultimately make the roster, but they're giving opportunities and they're taking full advantage of them. Like even Jaden Bradley had a few catches, who I think probably isn't going to make this roster, but he probably could. Not for his receiving ability, but his near punt block ability. Like he had 3 near block punts on Friday, and just overall with the receiver room, I'm much more higher on it than I already was. Like with the addition of Stephon Diggs, but the rest of the guys gives me that confidence level that we're good at the receiver position. Truly, even with Kosi Yankov and Ben Sinnott and Chiga Conroe, this offensive firepower we have is much more. For me, I'm much more confident in than I originally was. So yeah, that's where I'm at.
Yeah. So anybody stock down? Stock up?
Yeah, stock down, Luke McCaffrey. Stock up, Jalen Bradley. Stock up, stock up, Robert Henry Jr. Stock way up for him. Um, as far as the receiver room, well, he's not a receiver, but as far as the receiver room, but I thought everybody, did well except for Luke McCaffrey, in my opinion.
Wow, what's up with Luke? What Luke do?
I just feel like at that moment of
That he
time, like
did
if
nothing.
you're playing, he did absolutely nothing. He didn't get nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that time, if you're coming on and you're supposed to be the lock start, I mean the lock, the number 3, number 4, I mean number 4 wide receiver. Like, come on, in that situation, you got to put on. I mean, if he would have had 2 or 3 catches, that would have been better than the performance that he. I mean, and we're going back to years past. What has he done in preseasons past? Anyway, and then even on the kick return of his opportunity that he had, he did nothing with it. So I mean, to me, I just feel like his stock is down in my eyes. But they say I'm a Luke hater, so I mean, it is what it is.
I mean, I would say he had a pass that he should have dropped. I think Sam Hartman threw it. I think it was on the numbers, and he dropped it. Other than that, I mean, look, I'm still a Luke guy, but I'm not surprised if people have already soured on him after he gained a lot of new fans or new supporters through training camp because he was one of our best guys in training camp, truthfully. So I'll wait and see. I'm not giving up on Luke. I still think he's a lock to make this roster.
Yeah, I think I
Uh,
don't I don't think nothing. I don't think nobody changed as far as the hierarchy of it. But I'm just saying, like his stock dropped. Like if we're going to sit here and keep putting him in this conversation of guys that should make the team, like we need to see it. Like for me, I just feel like I don't know. I just feel like guys plays that they're making be better plays than what he making. I feel like his plays be like 5 and 7 yard gains, and guys making 15-yard catches, and they still want to put him ahead of them. And so I just don't subscribe to that thought process. But who am I?
yeah.
Yeah.
John says stock down John Tavius Martin and Jerzon Newton.
Oh, I text y'all in the group chat live when Quan made the pick. Everybody act like they ain't see it. I was like, hit the Quan. Nobody said nothing, including John.
You know what? John says, "Stop the glaze."
It's no glaze. It's no glaze on Luke McCaffrey. My opinion is my opinion. It is what it is. It could be right, wrong, or indifferent. I don't care, but it's my opinion on him, and it's gonna stay that until he does something else otherwise.
People talking about the stock down on Quan Martin shit.
Man, quarter interception, stock down.
he might he might
They
be the
said
starting
stock down on
safety.
Quan.
That's what John said.
That's what I'm saying. So you gonna say I'm glazing Luke McCaffrey? Stop glazing on Quantavious.
They
Him-
said
I mean Jartavius.
Quantavious.
I'm not Quantavious. Jartavious.
he
It
mixed
would
his
it,
he mixed
it
his
wouldn't be
nickname in the
it
earlier.
wouldn't be it wouldn't be a show if Reedie didn't fuck up somebody's
Yeah,
name.
he butchered Jaden Bradley, called man Jalen.
I said
Well,
Jaden Bradley,
He said Jalen. But
he
nah,
mixed Quan real name and
but
his
I don't think.
nickname.
But
Quan
to go
Tavius.
back to the point about not to cut y'all off, but to go back to the point about uh the punt returner 83. I don't think his stock is up because he made a few catches in the preseason game. Like, show us more. Like the jury is still out on him as a wide receiver. So like, I'm not impressed by you caught a pass across the middle in traffic. That doesn't mean that you can do it. Like, come on, man. We gotta stop one or two catches and saying like they have arrived. They haven't fucking arrived. In
I
my
don't
opinion,
think
I'm
people
sorry to
say,
curse,
yeah.
but
I don't think it's more so arrive. He definitely has a lot more to
I
um
don't think he gives you nothing as a receiver. I
yeah, he
stand
has a
on that.
lot more to prove as far as being a receiver, but after one game, I would just say stock is up. Stock is up doesn't mean stock being up don't mean he arrived. It could be up 2%. It could be up 4%. You know what I mean? So
I don't think that gives you no percentage. I think it's just like, okay, let's start to pay attention to you now.
yeah, that's stock up because ain't nobody paid attention to him before that. He's not on the list.
His stock better be up. I still, even though he was drafted here as a punt returner and not a receiver, and I think people have to understand that. I still, yes, somewhat
What he
penalized.
get like a third round though?
He was a
Who
fourth
who
round
who
pick.
started
Fourth
that
round pick?
narrative though? Who like how are we so sure that that's what they brought him
Because
here to
he
be?
didn't really be that. He wasn't that great as a receiver in VTech. He didn't
I
have
mean,
the
When
numbers.
when they
I'm
They
saying, but
blamed it on the
sometimes
they
some
blamed it on the quarterback and the situation, but he didn't have like crazy numbers. He was more of a returner.
I get that. I'm with y'all on that. But I'm just saying, like, we don't know how they look at him. They may look at him like he could be a sneaky little slot guy. You know what I'm saying? But he gives you that punt return ability, like to draft a like, are they really drafting punt returners that high in the draft? Third round
no,
pick?
no, that's why a lot of people were kind
That's what I'm
of
saying.
questioning the pick because when you look at his tape, they didn't show not one receiver highlight. It was all punt and special teams thing that they highlighted in the draft, and even the draft experts said it. Like this dude is a special teams guy. He came in and immediately proved that. He's not a
Right.
receiver. He's not a receiver right now in terms of like the excitement level of what we view him as. But that's why you kind of got to take a little bit of everything you see with him with like some progression. Like he made a nice catch in traffic. That's something that I don't think he would have made last year.
Yeah,
My biggest thing is he's just small, so I
yeah,
feel like it's up to the coaching staff to get more out of him. Just because he's not a pure outside or slot receiver,
Yeah.
you can get more out of him on the offensive side of the ball. Well, that's why I say shit, man. Let him start being with the running backs, man. Like,
Look how small look how small your tight ends coach was as a player. Like, and I think Jalen Lane is much faster, much quicker than him. So, I mean, I don't know.
yeah, I think you can get more out of him just by maximizing his skills, use his strengths. Use him on them lateral plays or them trick plays. Use him on them end arounds. Use him on them quick screens. Get the blockers out of front. Let him be with the running backs. Let him tell him put on some more size. Even though I think he has some good size on him in terms of strength, tell him put on more size and not convert him to a running back, but use him like Kavon Turpin. You know what I mean? How Dallas used him in so many different ways. Just because he specializes in special teams, he's fast as hell. He's quick. You can use him on the offensive end besides just sending him out there as a pure receiver because I don't think there's anybody in this fan base that genuinely views him as a threat on the receiving end. So that's what I believe.
yeah. But yeah, did we miss anything, Juan? Have we covered any key topics that we
I think
missed?
I think that's it. I think we covered everything. Mariota signings, this. So I think we did it all.
Hey, I gotta
Yeah,
go back and watch that what y'all said about Mariota.
Let me say, long story short, this is his last year here. We're not surprised that he got hurt. It's AK season, man. You know what it is. Young Kirk
Yeah,
Cousins.
I think if he continues to show what he showed in the preseason game one, and two and three, when they kind of give them the ship in three, well, I'm not expecting Jaden to play much in this game coming up, but if they give him the keys, definitely he is vying for that number two position in the future.
yeah. Shout out to my man Matt Gobin. Pretty solid game. He got some tuning to do, but I feel like I was looking at his, his run blocks and everything. He got out there on that pool with Henry Jr. So shout out to Goldman for giving quality reps. That's another room it's a lot of questions around right now. But Dan did say that Allegretti and Bates both will practice tomorrow. So that's something to look forward to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But if you haven't already, once again, please like, share, subscribe at the Burgundy Breakdown. We are the Burgundy Breakdown on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and X. Support the channel through super chats. As far as Reedie and Zee and Juan Gotti, Ballin In Burgundy as well. Shout out to JD, my man. He's on the road. He wasn't able to get on tonight, but shout out to John. And you know what I mean, if my brothers don't have anything else to add, we will close this one out.
Nope.
Nothing to add. So Burgundy Breakdown is signing out right about now.
Peace.